Hi everyone. Said I get to this. I'm a little late, but I'll get to it regardless. And like I said, I'm not on a time clock right now. I'm taking my time with the videos. I'll do the second one probably on Tuesday when I have the day off. But this is the my personal top 10 movies of 2016. The movies I thought were overall the best. The ones I had the most enjoyment with overall thought were the best constructed films, ranked from 10 to 1, as any top 10 list is. And this is just my personal opinion. This is only from the movies I was able to see. There are plenty of movies that came out last year that I hear are amazing that I did not get to see. So, without further ado, my the top 10 best movies of 2016. I'll try not to keep this more than maybe 15 minutes at most. So, at number 10, I had 10 Cloverfield Lane. Now, 10 Cloverfield Lane was a movie that I did not know what to expect going into it. I knew it when you're going to basically call it Cloverfield. It was going to tie somehow into the Cloverfield storyline, and it did, kind of. But really, that movie came out of nowhere as one of the most suspenseful question and answer movies of the year. You know, when I say question and answer, I mean raises questions, and the answers you get maybe aren't necessarily answers you're going to necessarily think you want to receive, or what's the best way to put it? The answers you get aren't the answers you're expecting, I guess is the best way to put it. And then when the twist comes, it's fine, but it's somewhat predictable. But that being said, it doesn't make it bad by any stretch of the means. And then the performances, I mean, I think there's only three main people. Bradley Cooper, I know, does the voice of Kate Winslet's, is it Kate Winslet's? Or Mary Elizabeth Weinstein. I think that's her name. But I mean, the main actress is boyfriend over the phone, and then there's one other woman who shows up. We see her, being affected by the virus or the pathogen. But John Goodman, man, John Goodman is the stand-up for. It was the performance of John Goodman. John Goodman should at least. There have been so many good performances. I can't necessarily say he deserves an Oscar nomination unless there are like 10 spots, which there won't be. In which case, maybe. But that was his performance. That was a performance of the year for him. And I think he's been in like a couple other movies this year. Or should I say last year? But yeah, John Goodman's one of those guys that when he wants to go scary, he is a terrifying individual. And it showed in there. It showed in that movie quite well. The effects work that it does show up is pretty decent, but the overall tone in the movie is just so sickeningly tense that it's awesome. So that's my number 10. Number 9 is Swiss Army Man. Now, Swiss Army Man was a movie that man, I laughed thinking about that movie. It was just the weirdest experience, but in such an awesome way. It was just so out of nowhere in the best possible way. Daniel Radcliffe is a farting corpse, and we don't know if he's a legitimate corpse that's coming alive or if he's just, if it's all just fantasy. But what we know is that Paul Dano finds a corpse that saves him from a deserted island, and starts talking to him, helping him get through personal problems, and it's their journey together. It's really weird, but in the best way possible. Both of their performances are stellar, completely stellar. But it's just a weird. It's the only way I can put it. It's just a weird journey. But it's a really great journey about self-discovery or self-rediscovery, I suppose you can say. So Swiss Army Man, number 9. Really interesting. Number 8, Kubo and the Two Strings. Now, Kubo and the Two Strings, when I first saw the trailer for it, I'm like, this is right, man. I like stop motion a lot. Box Trolls I thought was really good. Not one of the best movies of that year, but definitely really good. But Kubo, I'm like, this I love Eastern culture, Eastern mythology. I love stop motion claymation kind of stuff. And I love the storytelling art style behind that. And the whole idea of family and what it means. And the characters, Charlize Theron plays the monkey. Matthew McConaughey plays the beetle. And I don't know the actor who plays Kubo, but I know Ray Fiennes plays the villain, his grandfather. And to see that journey play out on screen, where he starts as a boy and then pretty much ends up, he's still a boy, but he's a man by the end of it. He realizes who he is, and how he fits into this world. And to see his journey go from where it starts in the beginning to how it ends, and everything that happens in between leading up to it, it was just such a beautifully crafted story because of that. Because of how it represents family, because of how it represents tragedy, and how it represents self and self-identity. I felt the movie was just, it told the story artistically, beautifully, and and visually beautifully as well, but also extremely well directed and crafted in terms of its flow and narrative. So yeah, Kubo and Two Strings. Number 7, and this number 7 is a bit of a surprise for me when I actually understood how much I enjoyed it, to the filmmaking quality and how good I think the movie actually was and all that. Is Rogue One. Now, Rogue One I loved. I loved Star Wars. I loved Rogue One. But when I compared it to every other movie I have on the 6th and below spot, Rogue One didn't stand up as well as the rest of them. But Rogue One I thought was still great. It's not my favorite Star Wars movie of all time. That one probably still stands with Empire Strikes Back. But honestly, I'm someone who, again, for me, it's Empire, Return, honestly, The Force Awakens, and then Rogue One and the original Star Wars are tied. That is how I view it. And Rogue One, it's a great example of how a standalone Star Wars movie can work. It's detailing a story that took place in the main canon of the series, but it didn't coincide with any story being told at the moment. So there was no continuity issues that they encountered while making the film. There was no. It didn't ruin any of the other Star Wars movies. If anything, it makes you appreciate the first Star Wars, New Hope, far better, because it literally ends about a few minutes before the first one begins. And then, of course, it gives us some of the best star or space battles we've seen in years. Probably the best Vader scene, or one of the best Vader scenes we've seen ever. And I mean, the characters are mostly enjoyable. I would say the main two are a little flat, and I have issues with Felicity Jones's character, but performance-wise, it's pretty okay. But yeah, Rogue One, honestly, as much as I loved it, it only made it to number 7 because the other movies I just felt left either a better impact for what they did, or they were just more, betterly. They were more skillfully handled, I guess is the way I can put it. Number 6, after that, is The Nice Guys. And The Nice Guys is one I'm like, I'm watching these trailers. I'm like, okay, this looks like a pretty fun movie. I go to see the movie. I'm like, no, this is an awesome movie. This is a great swinging 70s buddy cop movie. Ryan Gosling and Russell Crowe need to do more movies together because their chemistry is awesome. They just have this great kind of when you give them a Shane Black script, these two, they have magic between each other. And Shane Black what's the best way to put it? Shane Black is one of those great dialogue writers. He's like Quentin Tarantino or dialogue director. He's an actor's director that helps paint the scene and move the scene and make the scene interesting. He's like a Quentin Tarantino in that regard, kind of like a Kevin Smith in that regard. In terms of great dialogue, great direction for those particular scenes. But the beauty is that it's not just the scene, he's able to structure the movie with each scene of just those two interacting, plus the action we do get from it and the couple characters we get besides them. Yeah, it was a fun swinging 70s time when Ryan Gosling is a drunk private detective who can't smell, and Russell Crowe is a he's not a hitman. He's a what's the best way to put? He's a thumb breaker basically. He delivers messages to people. He basically beats people up for money more or less, which is pretty fun. And then how the movie ends. Spoilers, or if you haven't seen the movie, with them more or less in the opposite way. That now Russell Crowe's been starting to drink again. And Ryan Gosling's cleaned up his act a bit. That was pretty funny. So yeah, we're nice guys, man. And honestly, I feel bad that movie didn't do better. It really should have. It was made like 15 million. It only made like 35 domestically. Hopefully, it finds like a life on Netflix and on DVD and stuff like that, and gets a much better following after that. Because I would love to see a sequel. My number 5 was Captain America: Civil War. I should know I have one other comic book movie on this list. Can you guess what it is? And it is not number 1. Honestly, the comic book movies, despite the fact I'm a massive comic book fan, are, while in the top 5, did not crack anything, did not make the number 1 spot, and didn't even make the number 2 spot. But Captain America: Civil War was the prime example of how, if you have a good director or directors, as in the case of the Russo brothers, a great script, and vision behind it, and actors who actually love doing love their job, love their roles they're in, then you can make continue to make great sequels. This is the 3rd movie in a Captain America franchise, and all 3 Captain Americas have been good. The first Captain America's, it's good, it's fine. Second one is damn good, and the third one, I'd argue, is the best one of the 3. And it's the only real negative against the movie, it's not even the villain, who is not necessary, mind you, but the only real negative is that if you haven't seen any of the other movies, it is a little hard to follow like what's going on. But that being said, normally most people who are probably seeing this movie have seen at least some of the other movies to get context. And it did what Batman v Superman, which is not on this list, by the way. Even though I like the movie, it's not on the list. But did what Batman v Superman tried to do, but failed to do, more or less, is that you see both sides of this equation, both sides of the problem being presented in the movie, and you identify with both sides of the issue. It's like you understand Tony Stark's point of view, you understand Captain America's point of view, and in the end, more or less people probably side with Captain America because he's the main focus of the film. Which is another thing they do great in the movie is the fact that, despite being kind of Avengers 2.5, it is it is a Captain America movie first and foremost, and they never shy away from that. But they do give each character, their moments to shine. And of course, the airport fight scene is probably one of the best action pieces put to film. So Captain America, number 5. Number 4 was Moana. Moana is the only other animated movie on this list, and probably and I loved Zootopia. I loved Finding Dory. I think I gave Finding Dory a 10 out of 10. But it's not on the list because when I really thought about it, as much as I enjoyed Finding Dory, no, Moana hit me a little bit in the first time I saw it. But after my mother's passing and I saw it again with Mark, that movie really hit a chord with me about family, community, and following your heart and something. That movie actually got to me a lot more second viewing, having gone through some shit from that. And when the animation is gorgeous, the songs are lovely to listen to. The characters are very realistic, and Mark made a good commentary. Is that it's good to see a Disney princess and prince because now I would argue to say that Maui's not really a Disney prince because he doesn't end up with the main character, but you can make the argument that he's the main male companion. So he is technically the prince of the movie, or it's the little kid who's just going trying to hit him Moana. And the message and the resolution at the end is also unique for a Disney movie. It's not just fight the bad guy and win. There is lessons to be learned. There is beauty in what we discover in the movie, and it's just a fantastic. It's also a fantastic look at island culture. It's one of the first real. I mean, we had Disney, we had the Princess and the Frog, but in the new age Disney, which is all just CGI these days, it's nice to see such diversity in the cast in terms of the culture and what So it was gorgeous to look at, gorgeous to listen to, gorgeous to watch. Fun time all around, and a lot of heart and meaning behind it. Moana made it to my number 4. Number 3, though, we go from a friendly kids film to probably one of the hardest R-rated or most hardcore R-rated movies of the year, Deadpool. Deadpool, hands down, was probably my favorite comic book movie of the year. Don't get me wrong, I loved Captain America Civil War. I like Batman and Superman a lot, and Suicide Squad a lot, and I loved Doctor Strange. But for me, it's Deadpool, because it took a character who should be able to transition to the screen well, but was never attempted because of so much studio interference. And then finally Ryan Reynolds, championed that movie for so long. And what happens? You make the character the way you're supposed to make him. You do what you're supposed to do, and you make a success. And it's the highest grossing R-rated movie of all time, highest grossing X-Men movie of all time. It brought to life a character that so many people wanted to see for ages, and it did it perfectly. There's nothing else to say. If you haven't seen Deadpool yet, what is wrong with you? Go watch Deadpool. So number 2, now we're down to my final 2. Number 2, I gave the La La Land. La La Land was a movie that when I saw the trailer, I'm like, oh, this looks pretty good. And then I saw it, I'm like, wow. You want to see a love letter to classic, like old school, Hollywood, 50s, 60s, 70s kind of Hollywood musicals, like the Danny Kaye musicals, the Singing in the Rain musicals, so forth and so on. Watch La La Land. It's amazing how well they captured that spirit despite it being modern day. That's what astounded me about it. And it also, not only does it capture that time period of movies, but also captures the struggles of artists in Hollywood and just in society. I mean, the jazz is a dying music. Like classic jazz is a dying art form. Jazz is about innovation, but doesn't mean you can't pay respects to the old. And, actors and actresses do not have an easy time out there. And that movie really captured that well, very well. Also, it was a great example of, you should never, if you really feel strongly about it, you should never really give up on your dreams, because you can make them work. You might have to compromise at points, but you can make them work. And I just felt that movie captured that so well. So, just to recap, mine 10-2 right now is 10 Cloverfield Lane. At number 9, Swiss Army Man. Number 8, Kubo and Two Strings. Number 7, Rogue One, Star Wars Story. It's number 6 is The Nice Guys. 5 is Captain America Civil War. 4 is Moana. 3 is Deadpool. And 2 is La La Land. But my number 1 movie of the year, 2016, is Hacksaw Ridge. This was a movie that I think everyone needs to see to remember that despite all the horror that has happened in war and has happened this year, a lot of horrible stuff has happened this year. And I'm not even referring to my mother passing. I'm just saying a lot of bad stuff happened in 2016. A lot of deaths, a lot of bombing, a lot of ugliness, and probably a lot of ugliness to come in the following years. But when you look at what this one man, I can't remember the character's name. Doss, that was it. This one guy, Doss, was one guy who would not pick up a gun because it's not what he believed in, but he still wanted to serve his country and help. When you see what one man is capable of doing for everyone else, and seeing how much good this one guy can spread by just being himself in a time where men had to forego their principles sometimes and their values and pick up the gun and pick up the sword and kill each other, and see this one man defy those odds, really made you have faith in humanity again. Same with Sully had a similar thing where it was more just a feel-good story about a man who saved people, but he got ridiculed for it. But then he's like, "No, we did the right thing. We knew that." This is different in that sense of it's taking place in a horrifying sense where people are dead, people that he knows and friends that he knows dies, and yet he still doesn't give up. Andrew Garfield, I hope to God, gets recognized for this movie. And screw the Academy if you're going to hate on Mel Gibson for all the shit he's done. But I think he even is an Oscar winner with Apocalypto. Take your personal feelings about Mel Gibson aside and look at the movie he made. And if you still don't believe he deserves it, and I look at the top directors category for the Oscars this year, and he's not in there, but I see all the other ones, I'm like, no, they all deserve to be in there. I'll be fine with that. But if I see like a movie, I'm like, why is that there? I'm gonna question. I'm gonna say no. You were biased against him. That's not fair to him because the man. Say what you will, the man is one of the most talented directors of all time. Give him another maybe 10 years, he will. I would say he is in the level of Spielberg, Scorsese, Ridley Scott. Ridley Scott's great, but he's not an all time. But Scorsese, Spielberg. Here's another one. Kubrick. That was the other one I was thinking of. Kubrick. I mean, Nolan's getting there. Nolan's great. Dunkirk looks like it's going to be seriously intense. But, and then all the supporting cast. Vince Vaughn surprised the living hell out of me because he played a serious role, but was amazing in the movie as well. Hugo Weavings. I know there was a couple other actors I recognized, but I can't remember off the top of my head. Point being is that, yeah... This was a movie that, and they didn't shy by way on the guts or gore or anything like that because it's war. War is not pretty. War is ugly. War that and Fury are two movies that war movies recently that really showed the graphic nature of war and how ugly it is. And as hard as that is to watch, it's also very refreshing to see someone actually take the realism of war and show it on screen. If you can't handle the realism of war, maybe it's a good incentive for us to not go to war and kill each other. If you can't handle it in a movie, it's like, oh my god, why'd you do that? Guess what? Because that's what it looks like. And you know what? I think they even still sugarcoat some of the stuff in there. People have to do some horrifying things in a war to survive. So, yeah, be lucky. Thank your lucky stars you get to just sit on your couch and watch me talk about this stuff. Or your bed or whatever you're sitting on watching this video. All probably 10 to 15 of you who are going to watch this. Maybe 20. Maybe I'll luck out more people than that. Usually these videos don't get that many views, but whatever. I still do them. I mean, people still do watch them, so, yeah. But yeah, that's my top 10 movies of 2016. Join me on Tuesday when I do my top 10 worst movies of 2016. That should be fun. So thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Like, comment, share, and subscribe. And I will see you folks next time. Assuming that Screwtax updates their site some time and gives us the combatants this week, I will do death battle predictions. I will probably have who would win pre-recorded on Tuesday for Wednesday because I got to go in early on Wednesday as well as Thursday. And I actually don't know what movie I'm seeing this week. Hold on. What movie am I seeing this week? Okay. Anyway. Yeah, what movie is it? Maybe I'll see Underworld this week, assuming, okay, Patriots. Okay, this week is Patriots Day, Sleepless, The Bye-Bye Man, Live by Night, and Monster Trucks. Because I'm limiting myself because, just funds and just getting back into things, that's a tough one. If I were going to go throw one out there, probably Monster Trucks, because I feel will be the most entertaining to talk about, because I don't think it'll be extremely good. But who knows? We'll see. Anyway, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. See you next time. Have a good night, folks.